Well, hello again, everyone. This is Ted Schmidt with Action Coach Northwest, and this is another one of our business community spotlight podcasts. And today, our guest is Lisa Myers, founder and CEO of Ceres Chill. So, welcome, Lisa. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's really great to be part of this conversation.
Awesome, awesome. So, why don't you, for people who are not familiar with Ceres Chill, tell us just a little bit about it.
Okay, so it's a company dedicated to empowering parents to live incredible lives while achieving their goals as parents, and that's not easy. It certainly takes having the right tools, the right support, the right community, and somehow over the course of the last 4 years, that's what Ceres Chill has become. So our flagship product is a breast milk chilling thermos. It replaces the really outdated and I'm just going to say it, pathetic technology of a soft-sided cooler with a chemical gel pack and a bunch of plastic bottles with something that has been referred to in the press as, the Yeti or Hydro Flask of, breast milk and formula. So, yeah, it's supporting parents to live their most incredible lives while being incredible parents.
Awesome. Excellent. So there you go, everybody. Now you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So first question, other than that, if you had to start from square one in business, what would you do differently?
Oh, I'm gonna give the annoying answer, I bet. I have to say that where I'm at right now is one of the most incredible places in life. That I could ever expect. So, like everyone, I've had my share of adversity. Grew up very rural farm outside of Spokane. My parents divorced when I was young, like all kinds of stuff. You don't need the whole story, but all of it has brought me to this place where I've been able to double revenue each year. I launched during COVID. People say, oh, that's hard. I feel it was lucky, taught me a lot about, how to work with exceptional scarcity. And I was lucky I didn't have to lay anyone off, didn't have to make changes to the way I did business or to a team that I was committed to. So I gotta say, Ted, I wouldn't change a thing because we're selling product all over the world. I have the most incredible warehouse right in the Spokane Industrial Park with the very best team. I wake up, I work with brilliant people to do something meaningful every day. I mean, man, I would not change a thing. There's
Wow.
things I hope to do differently going forward, making sure you've got the right people in the right seats. I learn every day, hire slowly, fire quickly. I'm not always very good at that. I get excited about people, bring them on, and then, give people infinite number of chances. And sometimes there's not a good fit. It's not that there are bad people or bad employees or bad workers, but just not a good fit. So, I mean, there's things that I
Yeah.
plan to do differently going forward, but I wouldn't change anything I've done up to this point because I'm here having this conversation with you, living my best life. So,
There you go. Awesome. Okay. All right. Here we go. Number two, what have your biggest learnings been as an employer since you began in business? Maybe you just alluded to a couple of those.
yeah, I touched on it. Definitely that hire slow, fire fast is this oversimplified way of saying it. That having a mission driven company can attract really incredible people and keep a really passionate and committed customer base. I definitely, need lots of help, like understanding, the finance aspects and the particularly the data driven parts of marketing. So I think the importance of having a really knowledgeable, strong team around you to help you where you're weak is fundamental. But yeah, owning mistakes and being able to like learn from them and move forward obviously is huge. Probably speaking in platitudes. People probably want to know more about like Excel spreadsheet use, but I'm not good at that. I'm lucky to work with people who are much better at it. They'd have a different answer.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that sounds like surround yourself with people that are better than you and things that you don't like to do or aren't good at. And
yeah. And the things you think you're good at, also like know what you don't know. And then also like, continuously re-examine yourself. I love nothing better than being questioned, and it may not always appear that way, but I definitely sit with everything that my team brings to me. I'm really lucky to work with a lot of smart, caring people. I never know if this is just historic lore or if it's real, but I'd like to believe it's real, that Winston Churchill had a cabinet of dissent, and their whole job, like a bunch of really smart people, and their whole job was just to tell him all of the ways in which his proposed course of action would fail terribly, and that under no circumstances should they proceed in that direction. So yeah, I think having people to challenge you and offer a different perspective is really important.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. What are some common misconceptions about running a business and how do you address them?
I have encountered, and I don't know that your community, because they are a lot of like, founders and entrepreneurs and CEOs, this may not resonate with them or not, but I've had a lot of colleagues in the space who are founders and CEOs who are trying to set their business up for like an awesome exit, that they left their day job, so to speak, so that they could, build a business, sure, do something they cared about. Yeah. But ultimately the goal is to sell it for a couple million and sit on a beach and spend quality time with their family. That's hilarious. If you started a business so that you would not have to work as hard in any sort of immediate future terms, I think everyone who listens to your podcast would say that that is one of the funniest jokes they've ever heard. And so I'll tell them, like, they're like, how do you do it? Because so far Ceres Chill has been successful, and I realize that could go away at any given moment. But I'm like, well, you figure out a lot of the stuff during the day, but a lot of your day is meetings. So then you spend the night catching up on your work. And we have manufacturers that are overseas. So sending emails, at 3 a.m. Then you also have to check up on what's happening on social media. I mean, especially like my business revolves around millennials and young parents. And so it's, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and seeing what the community is talking about, what the trends are. And then, the sun rises and you can start meeting with people about all the things you learned and all the correspondence that happened. And then the weekend is more of the same. And that doesn't sound fun to some people. And I'm like, if you're not in it for that, then I don't know, your millions seem to be a distant dream. They don't believe that that's how it works, but that's how it works. For me, at least. So Ted, I have to follow up if you will entertain me. So Elon Musk, not everybody relates to him, and he's quite the character, but Elon Musk, there's a great interview that he did years ago, and the interviewer is sitting across from him, and I'm giving the story, so it's not word for word, but this is definitely the gist and the message. So the interviewer asks, Mr. Musk, like, if you could tell us, what is it like to be an entrepreneur, to be a CEO? Like, tell the crowd of like business students, like, what it's like, what they could expect. And he thinks for a second. And he said, well, it's a lot like, he said, it's pretty much staring into the abyss while chewing glass. And this interviewer is like, oh my God, that sounds terrible. What do you mean by that? And he's like, well, you're staring into the abyss because you're always facing the complete annihilation, devastation of your company, and you're all alone in it. Like, nobody else is really, truly standing there with you. You are just alone facing this potential doom every day, and you have to keep showing up, and you're just staring into the abyss, and you have to deal with it. He said, chewing glass, he said, accolades, celebration of victories, big or small, that's for other people. He's like, other people on your team, can take credit and they can celebrate, some progress that you've made. He said, you as the CEO have to deal with the problems. Those are yours. He said, you may not feel equipped to deal with them. You may be tired. You may not want to, but that's the chewing glass. Like, you have to be the one to chew the glass. And he said, so yeah, I mean, it's staring into the abyss while chewing glass. And this interviewer says, oh, okay. So what words of encouragement would you offer, young entrepreneurs? He just burst out laughing. He's like, words of encouragement? He's like, words of encouragement? If you need words of encouragement, you should not be doing this. There are no words of encouragement. So yeah, I would say I agree. A lot of people told me I was doing the wrong thing and it was stupid and it was going to be the death of me and the end of my marriage and, not good for my kids and that it would amount to nothing. And it's actually been really great and hugely rewarding. But I definitely wasn't doing it because people were cheering me on. It was almost, it was just an imperative. Like, I knew what needed to be done. I could see the value and I had to just stick with it and keep at it.
So you're not just laying on a beach all the time then?
Not yet. I mean, maybe one day. It's out there, but nope, not yet.
It's funny how, and just to elaborate a little bit, it's funny how a lot of people have great advice and have all this wisdom for you, but they've never owned a business, never run a business, never run a multi-million-dollar business, never had employees. And yet they know.
Yeah.
Well,
and it was, for a lot of people, it was coming from a good place. Like they were worried about me, but yeah. Some of them were just, a lot of people, I think, want to see you fail. Don't want to see you be successful in something they didn't think would work or didn't think of themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Envious. Sadly, sad but true. Okay. What do you attribute your growth to? You said you doubled each year, and how are you doing that?
So I identified a real need. The product sells itself. I've always said, and I've lived it and seen it, that for every chiller that's out there, we sell 10. So, creating a community and looking after our customers and giving them a quality product, as soon as they have it and they see the impact on their life, they're sold. I mean, I will tell anyone that's listening that knows anyone that's having a baby, they should check out the website because, it is the best baby shower gift. It's a great way to support a new parent. So looking after your customer, having identified a true need, and then looking after those customers. I mean, we have less than 1% return of product. We have, I'm proud, 4.7 5-star or up to 5-star reviews on Amazon. Amazon is really hard. So 4.7 depending on the product. But for a new product, I created the category. That's a really big deal. So I'm really proud of that. But yeah, I think high quality and excellent customer service. I mean, that's not complicated, right? So, and then it all becomes word of mouth. I mean, my cost per acquisition, the first 3 years I was in business was $3.50, and my average cart value was $65. So, and my cost of goods was well managed. So it allowed me to do, to continue to do a lot more and expand, which was great.
Yeah. Simple, but not easy, right? Simple, but not easy.
Maybe.
That whole customer service thing, and all that, right? Okay.
Yep.
How do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business?
I don't. I look for small opportunities with my kids to spend time. So even if it's just driving them to school, having those conversations, like making the most of that time. I would say I don't do a great job of, not as good of a job as I would like being a parent. I don't really take any time for myself. But I am lucky. I don't really need it. Lots of people, say that, burnout is on the horizon. We'll see how long I can go. But, that old adage, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So I am really lucky that I have a great deal of respect and appreciation for everyone that I work with. We're all 100% remote. So I have 10 full-time employees scattered all over the United States. And then we have 10 part-time employees also scattered all over the United States, but our operations are based in Spokane Valley. But yeah, I don't take a lot of extra time for myself. One day I would like to read books again. But I try to stay healthy. So I go for runs. I listen to podcasts. And yeah, otherwise I just don't have, I work and and I raise my kids, and I find, as much reward in that as I can. And then that's enough.
Well, that's always a tough question when we ask that question. That's always a dilemma. So yeah, it's kind of like being an entrepreneur, business owner. It's a lifestyle. It's not really a job. It's
right.
something else, something more. So, okay. What qualities do you look for in your employees, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment?
My vice president of operations is so much better at this stuff. He is very, very intentional. So he really ascribes to the traction model. So I don't know if you're familiar with traction as, kind of a philosophy. I was naturally doing that. I have no formal business training. So I was a liberal arts major down in the Bay Area. I majored in English with an emphasis in British literature and minors in political science and French. I have a background in politics and government, and then I became a lawyer. But I never had, and I wasn't even a business lawyer. I wasn't even a useful lawyer, like an IP lawyer or a corporate lawyer. I was a litigator. I was a prosecutor in Philadelphia, and then an insurance lawyer, trial lawyer. So I have no traditional business background. I never really hired people, but over the course of my life, have done a pretty good job of building teams. And I think I have this crazy aggressive sense of fairness. So I have naturally attracted or looked for people who have a lot of integrity. They take responsibility for their actions. They feel responsible to a team that is outside of themselves. They communicate well. And yeah, they just have a lot of integrity. And so I think when you start with that, everything else flows from it. And then protecting the team, always looking at, where there's somebody that isn't living those values, isn't showing up that way, making sure they're not undermining everybody else who's doing so much, and, looking out for each other so you don't have, poison in the well.
So you have trust.
Yeah, exactly.
That's that's what I'm hearing. So trust. Yes. Having an operating system is important. You mentioned traction. We have the Action Business Operating System, which was what we have. So, so I'm very familiar with that, and that is key. I mean, absolutely key. You're absolutely 100%. So, especially when you don't have a lot of background in operating a business, so it's really helpful.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Wow, we are sailing along. We only got 2 questions left. Can you believe it? Okay.
And I've been doing a lot of talking, Ted.
Yeah, you're doing good. You're doing good. Okay. What question should I be asking you that I haven't?
Oh, I can't help but give my little bit of a TED talk here, about the importance of, and it just seems timely. I hate to strike a nerve or a bad chord, but there's a lot of question around like whether or not companies should be supporting diversity initiatives, equity and inclusion. I think that those words have been thrown around as like really nasty, vile things that get in the way of a business's bottom line and productivity and hiring the best people. I think that's unfortunate because I think trying to come to every opportunity to hire someone with a really open mind and to realize that you may have some unconscious biases and taking steps to find candidates that you might not otherwise have in front of you. So, I mean, all of us are the product of our environment and our communities. And so I was really lucky to, go to Gonzaga Prep, driving all the way in from the countryside. But, that's, to a certain extent, like that was my network. And it's not to say there aren't incredible people at Gonzaga Prep, but there's also phenomenally talented people that are out at like Meade or Riverside or these other schools. And if you only think that the people and the people who've been having the same conversation as you have value, then you're missing out on an opportunity to understand a greater pool of talent and customers and ways to improve your services and to cut costs. And so I mean there's a lot of businesses that purchase chillers, so we're able to customize our breast milk and formula chillers for businesses and for customers, so we can put people's logos on them. And so these companies offer the chiller to their employee, and a lot of people would say, oh, what a waste, like don't give them anything, hope that they leave, because you've got that cost of the family leave, and then they're going to want to pump their milk, and like, oh my gosh, like how long is that going to take? What sort of accommodations am I going to have to make for them? But realizing that you saw something in that employee, whatever it was, and you invested in them, and then you want to keep them because you've invested in them and there was something to who they were, there was a huge value at some point. I mean, otherwise, what were you even doing? And if there is value, you think about the cost of turnover and retraining somebody and finding somebody who maybe, has values. I don't know. There's just a lot I could say, and I don't want to talk too long, but to recognize that supporting a parent in whatever way. So with the breast milk chiller, it allows them to travel. They are going to feel more successful as a parent. When a parent breastfeeds, they are less likely to develop diabetes, cancer. I mean, babies are less likely to have asthma, to die of SIDS, to have diabetes themselves. So like all of these hosts of like health benefits are there. They're less likely to get sick. So like a common cold or, I mean, I'm trying to think of all the different things that it can help with, but having a motivated workforce that you're supporting that is healthy, and sees that as an example. When I was at my law firm, they gave me a branded onesie, right? And it was just like, okay, something to put my kid in with the firm's logo. Sure, I'm sure it was cheaper, but the chiller is now what they give out to new parents. And the sort of reception that that's received on LinkedIn and from their attorney saying, this changed my life. I could have it sitting there. I could be giving a deposition. It could be in the courtroom. Nobody was the wiser. I was still able to be an incredible attorney and an exceptional parent. And that made a real difference to me. So yeah, sorry, that was a really long answer, but I would say like morale and health of your employees and recognizing that they're an investment and they are part of your bottom line, and maintaining that investment should be, I think, at the forefront of every good leader, and ultimately, contributes to 100-year businesses that can maintain profits and go off into a beautiful future, the infinite game, as Simon Sinek says. Do you know
Well,
the
it's,
infinite
yeah,
game, Ted?
it is, it's about trust.
Yeah.
You're building trust. So yeah, you said it earlier. So, okay, last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and any words of advice for other business owners who are looking to grow their business?
I'm tempted to be Elon Musk here and say, I see myself staring into the abyss, chewing glass. 5 years, I hope we are still operating out of the Spokane Industrial Park. We send product all over the world. I mean, orders from Chile, Tanzania, Germany, Australia, and the UK just over the last 15 hours. Gosh, Ted, I should have a better answer, but I just see it as like, I probably don't have enough vision. I'm going to disappoint all of your community, your listeners. I want this, but more. Just improving upon what we've done. We have a couple great products coming out in the next 2 quarters that I'm super excited about. We've managed to bring our product development team in-house. I think, you know what, in 5 years, I would like to have like our HR director to have like either literally or figuratively written the book on how a company can be wildly, insanely, beautifully successful and entirely remote. And I would like to have, everyone who's been with the company for more than 3 years to, be fully vested in shares in the company. And I guess I'd like to probably will have liked to have completed another crowd raise. So I raised traditional money from really reputable businessmen, really impressive guys. And, what I kept thinking was there's not enough women investors. And that's just the truth. And women are some of the best investors. They make really smart, intelligent investments, but they're somewhat insecure about it. So I did a crowd raise through a platform called WeFunder. And I didn't really necessarily need the money, but I wanted my customers who knew the product, the value of the product so well, to be able to benefit from any success we saw. And so I opened up a round to my customers, and in just over 2 weeks, we raised over $700,000 from 515 of my customers. And they were high profile executives. They were realtors, teachers, firefighters, police officers, long haul truck drivers. And I have investors from every continent in the world, except for Antarctica, and every state in the union, except for Arkansas and Vermont. And that has more to do with population than anything else. Certainly we have customers everywhere except Antarctica. I'm just not aware of any in Antarctica, but it's probably been there. Actually, somebody did take a cruise to Antarctica. I don't know that they set foot on the ice, but it did. So it got there. But yeah, I think I would like to do another crowd raise because that was super rewarding and really inspirational. And you create this group of evangelists for your company and your brand, and they are literally and figuratively invested in our success. So that's a really great thing.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Any other advice for business owners looking to grow?
I don't feel qualified to give advice. And I've really just done it from my own experience. I guess one thing I did that I think really worked and served me well was similar to how I live my life, I always made sure that we were operating within our means. And so I've never really had debt. Every car that I've had, I've bought with money that I saved. I am fortunate. I didn't come from wealth, but I am fortunate that, I've had a lot of opportunities, and an education. And so I was set up for success in a lot of ways. But what I never did was leverage my house for the business. Like I figured out how to I worked full time for 4 years, 3.5 years, like as a partner at a firm. I worked at night. I mean, and I always looked after my cases. I was always profitable, but I kept working hard until I could finally leave my job, and I couldn't compromise my work there. So it was the responsible thing to do. But I see some business owners get up against a wall, and then their choices are limited. They've taken out a lot of money from their house. They've cleared out their retirement fund. They have a ton of debt. And I know everybody can find themselves in a tough spot, and it certainly isn't judgment. Like I said, I've been really lucky, but I think to the extent that you can not over leverage yourself and be really careful to live your business within its means, then you always have choices rather than being backed into a corner, up against a wall, afraid, acting out of fear and a sense of scarcity. I think that makes it really hard to make smart decisions for yourself in the business.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent advice. Well, thank you again, Lisa Myers, founder and CEO of Ceres Chill. Thank you for being our guest today. It was awesome.
Thanks a lot, Ted. This was really great. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.